I think if you could ask everybody, could among their positives, if they could add one negative that they feel.
Yes. Sandeep Somani is also with us, past President FICCI, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Somani Impresa.
I think it's an excellent budget. They have the directionality is good, the content is good, the government maintains its strategic focus on what is important for India. A lot of investment in social infrastructure, a lot of investment proposed in physical infrastructure. I think gradual reduction in the fiscal deficit and no sudden compression of the deficit, which would have then taken away from the resources. 4-year period to bring down the fiscal deficit to 4%. I think that's a good initiative. Lot of aggressive disinvestment targets, including 2 PSU banks, 1 insurance company in the current year itself. Interesting roadmap for infrastructure projects funding, further a new institution to be created for further infrastructure funding. So I think it's ticking all the right boxes, no tinkering with taxes. So getting away from the opportunity to do some quick fixes and thinking long term. I think these are all very, very good moves. I think industry, we could not have expected a better budget given the circumstances under which it has been made.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Shobhana Kamineni also is with us, Executive VC, Apollo Hospitals Group. She's also been past President CII. Good to have you back, Shobhana Kamineni.
I'm glad that I got a minute to churn about what I should say that, that Pranoy challenged me. So, basically this is an amazing budget for health, 137% more being spent than ever. But just remember who that's being spent for. And I think these are the people that were the most underserved. So this is not going to come to you and me. There's no benefit of this in, when they're opening rural, because we're not moving to the rural areas. So that then the 64,000 crores that will be spent for primary, secondary and tertiary over the next 6 years, that's 10,000 crores. It's not going to be in the cities. So that's not going to come to us. Again, the COVID vaccine, everyone is, that's fantastic. And I think that's part of Survive. And I'm proud of India for being able to give the doses for people over 50 free. But I just would like to see that rolled out further. I mean, as fast as possible. And then again, private sector will find a place, and we have to. So I think my message here is that everything that we see, I mean, even the economic survey, I'm trying to find the value of what the government finds in us. And I think that's super important for people that today 80% of healthcare is actually being borne by private sector. Where in the budget has that come to be able to encourage new private sector investment? And then I think what we need to do is to be able to serve the Indians in the cities that we all live in, and to serve them better. We need to keep up to the latest medicine. We need to prepare for the next pandemic. So I would think that the larger part of the budget of keeping the taxes or putting money in people's hands, all that will flow into making, when the economy is looking good, I think that healthcare will also improve. So I'm finding that while I'm happy that they're spending there, not much of it is in the private sector, and we'll continue to do our job.
But just one thing, when you said that the 64,000 crores, because again, we were talking about this earlier, there's a little bit of the fine print, that it's 64,000 crores under this health scheme over 6 years. So it's actually 10,000 crores a year. Yeah. 10,000 crore a year. Is that actually a significant enough amount?
No, I think look at it holistically, because I think that once telemedicine comes in, so much did you see that they're going to put CDCs? So and then the national health mission that creates the stack. So much information is going to go into this. So the government has thought through all this quite cleverly, because to give such a detailed budget for health, that means that this is not just not thought through. So there's someone in there. There are a bunch of very smart people who have thought through, and this money is enough. You didn't believe the money was enough when Ayushman Bharat came. That money was enough to give insurance. And now I think with the amount of data that's available with the government, I think that their task of giving health to people, 500 million people, they probably have a great chance. Remember, it's 137% more that is going to be spent for the deserving, for the underserved. So I'm happy to about that.
Okay.
You and me will have another discussion.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to Vinayak Chatterjee, who's chairing the CII Infrastructure Council and regarded as the infra guru of Indian industry. Vinayak Chatterjee.
This is an extraordinary budget. It is a game changer budget. And as you know, I see it through my lens of infrastructure. It is well conceived, well structured, thoughtful and practical. And I can tell you that I have noticed 6 very major thrusts in infrastructure, and the corridors, the whispers in the corridors at CII here is almost that it's an infrastructure budget. If you add up all the allocations and the text, much of it was focused on infra, which is to be expected, which is what we had desired to actually kickstart the economy, as well as, give the necessary impetus to public works and infra spends. Let me very quickly tell you the 6 broad areas that I think the FM alluded to. Number one is a historic creation of a new developmental financial institution for the sector. I mean, we are going back to when India was starved of capital in the 60s and late 50s, when a large swath of Indian industrial capital was built by the three DFIs. And now we have a new DFI where a new bill will be tabled. It will be under an act of parliament. And a new institution will be created to fund infra and public works for which would have economic returns as distinct from purely private sector financial returns. The second is a very thoughtful blueprint on asset monetization. I will not go into the details. The third is a substantial increase in capex. 34% increase in capex for infra on top of a 22% increase in the last year's budget. 4.12 lakh crores allocation in last year's budget now becomes a 5.54 lakh crore allocation, a 34% increase. I think the largest ever that I've seen in the last many decades that I've been covering it with you and Prannoy and others. Fourth major thrust area was, let's call it simply the shadow bank, the shadow bad bank, which is the combination of the stressed asset company and the stressed asset management company. This is as close to a bad bank that you would get, that will pick up assets and then run them or divest them or do whatever and take away the stress from the commercial banking system. So you actually have now a shadow bad bank, which the sector has been crying out for. You have got, again, a very thoughtful move on an extended list of strategic divestment of central public sector undertakings. And I overheard some creative scheme of motivating states to sell off their defunct state PSUs also. That needs a little more investigation. And finally, strategic thrust number 6 is a far more friendlier tax regime for foreign investors in infra. So just to recap, 6 broad thrusts in what is almost being called a healthcare agri-infra budget. Institutional intervention, a DFI. Number 2, asset monetization. Number 3, substantial increase in capex. Number 4, a stressed asset management solution. Number 5, strategic divestment of CPUs. And 6, a friendlier tax regime for many foreign funds who are interested in investing in infra. But let me stop here.
Very good points. I think these are very good points. There are real positives in the budget. Yeah.
Sumit Singhania with us, whose partner Deloitte. We have such a jolly tax expert also with us. Sumit Singhania, let me just start with you.
I would actually start by saying that to me it was definitely a great balancing act by the finance minister. And if you just step back and look at the economic survey that we had on Friday, the numbers were not looking very, very good when you look at the fiscal deficit and stuff, right? So in the current circumstances that we are, what basically the government has done, they have essentially laid out the whole roadmap and the vision for the infrastructure development, right? Not only for a year or 2 years, probably for the entire decade. And that to me is a huge accomplishment of the finance minister in this budget. The other takeaway, if I say from a tax perspective for me, is that there is no COVID surcharge or cess. That was sort of a apprehension that was lurking somewhere. It's a huge relief for many section of taxpayer and overall a statement to the investor community that we are not going to go for a short-term measure like a cess or surcharge. Let's look at something like long-term vision, which is the infrastructure development. Let's look at long-term vision like promoting the manufacturing industry and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, I'm quite pleased with the budget overall. And if you ask me to rate the budget, maybe premature, but I would actually put it more than 7, probably 8 over 10 in terms of the proposal and the quality of proposals.
So Vipin Sondhi joining us, Chairman CII Trade Fairs Council and CII National Committee on R&D and Innovation.
Srinivas, thank you. I would think so. I think it's well thought out through the 6 pillars as has been articulated before. The key is in the implementation of this in all the 6 pillars, but I think the 6 pillars are well thought out. It is a budget for growth, public investment being there, which will generate demand, will bring in private investment as demand picks up to about 75-80% of capacity utilization. Then that goes on for jobs, consumption and savings. But I think well thought out overall. Also see, and again it's on implementation, disinvestment, asset monetization, and I think creation of a DFI. I think there's been a lot of conversation in the past for the creation of a DFI, which should be good for infrastructure.
I think if you could ask everybody, could among their positives, if they could add one negative that they feel.
Yes.
Can I just bring in Sachit Jolly here?
Yes,
because he, I feel, is one of the most brilliant tax minds that we've come across, even on previous budget programs and, reading his stuff during the year.
Sachit Jolly, what is a negative that you came across?
Well, for me, this faceless tax tribunal is a big negative. I don't see how that will work. But I just wanted to point out one thing, non-tax, which I really liked in the budget, was, the recognition for controlling pollution in urban areas. This 2,000 odd crores set out for that. I think finally somebody's woken up to address a real problem of healthy living.
Okay. Mr. Singhania, if you were to identify one negative?
Sure. So I would say less than negative, actually a disappointment that I didn't see any enhanced number of budgetary allocation for defense sector. I was hoping for something big to happen there, given the geopolitical circumstances the country finds itself in. Maybe something is sitting there in fine print, but I didn't see any mention in the budget speech at least.
Prannoy, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw also with us. Do you want to?
Well, I think this budget has basically come out as a budget which is not surprising anyone, in the sense that everyone expected to hear some negative tax news on wealth tax and other taxation, and that has an assess on COVID, which didn't happen. So that has, I think, buoyed up the sentiments. I think the government has done well in terms of allocating budgetary spends on infrastructure. Of course, research and innovation, I think they've announced a 50,000 crore allocation over 10 years on research and innovation in public research institutions. I would have liked to have seen some research incentives for the private sector, but at the moment, I think the government is really focusing on strengthening the public ecosystem, whether it is infrastructure.
Council, let me start with you, Mr. Kirloskar. Thank you for joining us. Just very quickly, what jumped out at you from this budget?
We've been talking with the government over the last 10, 12 months, right, through the start of COVID and having very regular meetings. One thing that jumped out to me was that Finance Minister has been listening to all of us. That's the first thing I felt. Because there are a lot of things that were brought in was based on the talks and the discussions and the data that we submitted over the last 10, 12 months. I feel slightly motivated also. I feel actually well motivated in this budget because there is spending. They have said that the budget deficit will go on for some time. They've given some time frame to bring it to reasonable levels. I think that is good. We require that. Scrappage policy. There's finally it's something has come in the budget. Now we'll get into the details. Also, there seems to be some amount of flattening of custom duties in trying to equalize everything. I think these are good. And there was a lot of talk of new taxes, and nothing of that has happened. And for that, I'm truly relieved and motivated. I feel with there is a certain amount of continuity in this budget because of no change in taxes, and that's I think continuity in policy and predictability of policy is what will increase investment. I have high hopes for that now.
Mr. Magazine,
thank you,
again,
Magazine.
just
thank you.
What were to you the highlights, Mr. Magazine? If you could identify one or two big highlights, and also what was a disappointment, if any.
Sure. I think the highlight was really monetization of surplus government land. This has been a discussion happening for quite some time. And if that is implemented, as you know, besides PSUs, the railways, the defense are sitting on huge amount of land. If there is monetization implemented timely, it can release huge amount of land and liquidity. The second was, of course, that the foreign portfolio investors can now, the REITs can raise debt from foreign portfolio investors, which will be good. Again, it brings liquidity. REIT market is going to develop fairly rapidly in India and will provide quite a liquidity. So that was a good step. And the whole discussion on investment in infrastructure, of course, is huge, be it metro, airports, etc. So overall, I think this budget was really good. But personally speaking, I was expecting more, especially when I heard that this was supposed to be the best budget in 100 years. So if I look at it from that point of view, expectations were more. If you look at the incentives, the tax incentives, even for housing, there's an extension on exemption of 1.5 lakh rupees. I was personally expecting much more. So good budget, but in the background of best budget in 100 years, I would say
I was just going to say, best budget in Mr. Magazine, I was just going to, thanks very much, very interesting. I was just going to say, saying the best budget in 100 years is not saying much.
Niranjan, Hiranandani is with us, of course, of Hiranandani Builders. He's also currently president of NAREDCO, which is the National Association of the Real Estate Developers. Mr. Hiranandani, are you ready with your 12 out of 10 assessment, or are you going to give us your honest?
Sorry.
No, Anjali?
Yes, I can. Yes,
okay.
Now I can tell you. I think the budget should be somewhere 7 or 8 out of 10. Because I think the positive side has been the investments into infrastructure and development. And I think a huge amount of expenditure into that section is really a positive story. As far as the sectoral wise are concerned, I think a lot more could have happened. And I think in the real estate segment, a lot is done in the affordable housing segment. And the benefits of a tax-free nature in terms of the schemes under PMAY and others has been continued for another 1 year, which is positive. And also the fact that certain state governments like Maharashtra have brought down the stamp duty. A combination of these two will certainly continue to keep real estate, at least in the affordable housing segment, into good order. So I think that part of it definitely is housing. But I do find that we could have done much more in terms of the real estate segment, especially in view of the fact that we are a very large employer. 15% of the total employment in India, it comes from real estate and in infrastructure. I think something more could have been done in that segment in terms of the rest of it. For example, tax deducted in terms of for the benefit of people who take interest is still 2 lakhs of rupees since last 15 years. And I think we have been asking for 5 lakhs. That would have been done for the middle class and other people who borrow money for the purposes of buying a house. I think somewhere there. And 43CA, I think, is another issue which has not been handled properly, where the ready reckoner rate is not there. They have given some time up to June of this year in order to be 20% difference from ready reckoner rate. I think all those things could have been tweaked much better. So while I am very, very happy about the investments which the government is talking about, but some lacuna is there in terms of what could have been achieved in terms of tweaking.
Mr. Pawan Goenka,
Yes.
can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Are you also giving this budget a 12 on 10 rating, or do you have mixed views?
Well, I don't give a rating ever for the budget, but I would give a thumbs up to this budget. The budget is focusing on all the right things that the industry had been asking for. It is a growth-oriented budget with a significant thrust on healthcare and on infrastructure. And these are the two things that industry has really prioritized. So I would certainly give it a thumbs up. Of course, there are areas that one always wishes there was more of, but I think overall, given where we are today, the finance minister has done an excellent job in creating a growth-oriented budget.
Chandrajit Banerjee also joining us, Director General of CII. Chandrajit Banerjee, we spoke before the budget. You had your CII wish list. Has almost every box been ticked?
Yeah, quite a bit, I would imagine. I can see. Indeed, one sees that a large number of our recommendations finding place in the budget, especially if you really look at we had focused on three important points, Vasu, before we came into the budget. One was lives, second was livelihood, third was growth. And I think the finance minister putting a phenomenal bet on growth is a great thing to see. And the reforms, especially that we have seen in the financial sector side, the bad banks which we had suggested, the DFI which we had been talking about, all of it are great things to see. And I'm sure the type and the breach in the fiscal is something that we were talking about over a map of 3 to 4 years. And she has talked about a 3 to 4 year roadmap. And really betting on growth is what we were focusing on, and one sees that phenomenally done through the budget.
Joining us from the CII venue is Mr. Deepak Shetty, Deputy CEO and Managing Director, JCB India Limited. JCB, of course, with the earth movers and other equipment. Mr. Shetty, what do you make of the budget with the big push on infrastructure? Is that good news for JCB?
No, absolutely. And even leading up to the budget, we have been in various forums, we have been talking about the DFI, allocating the fund to the national infrastructure pipeline, which was been announced, and also the focus on the rural infrastructure. I think full marks, full focus on all these key demands. And particularly what is very heartening to see is the allocation to the highways, the new highways, but also very important focus on developing the rural healthcare infrastructure, which will help. And also allotment of funds to the state government, because some of the rural infrastructure is supported by the funds from the state government. So overall, a very positive budget from the infrastructure point of view, and certainly for JCB. And last few months, we have seen a big push in the rural infrastructure development. And I'm sure this the fund allocation during as a part of this budget is going to give further fillip to this whole development which is taking place in Bharat.
How are your sales though? JCB sales, are they back up to pre-pandemic levels? Or still below?
I think last few months we have seen green shoots, and consistently month on month they have come back. And certainly I'm very pleased to inform you that last 3 months they have not only reached the pre-pandemic level, but they have crossed the pre-pandemic level. So very heartening.
Also with us is R. Mukundan, MD Tata Chemicals Limited, the Chairman CII National Committee on CSR. Mr. Mukundan, good to have you back once again.
When we spoke in the morning, Srinivasan, you know that I said stability in taxation is critical. I think the budget has delivered that very clearly. Secondly, they needed to go out of the box in terms of resource mobilization. I think the budget again has delivered on that well. Thirdly, we said that we need some kind of an infrastructure financing methodology. I think this infrastructure financing bank, that whole institution, which they're going to move, is a step in the right direction. And the bad books with the banks, I think moving to go through asset reconstruction. I think those are all the right steps which we spoke. The second element in terms of the positive spending side, I think infrastructure spending has actually accelerated, which is a good move. Continued support to agriculture is a good move. And also on manufacturing, we spoke about PLI scheme. That is very much there in terms of being incorporated there. One added positive was the vehicle scrappage scheme, which we don't know the details, but I think should come out. That would aid entire chain. And also specific thrust on the MSME in terms of the support to MSME was a very positive move. What I think maybe some of the areas which probably we had said very clearly needed attention, and there would be funding need for them, and they should provide, especially in terms of health and infrastructure, health and education. I think government has done the right thing. So all in all, as we were hearing the budget move forward, it was almost like many of the things which we wanted are all there. And I think it is now, as rightly many people have said, the government and the industry and the society at large now need to work hard to make sure that we come out of the pandemic much stronger, much fitter, and much more competitive.